Thank you for tuning into another great day radio smooth jazz and R&B music set. I have more continuous music jams coming up next. For this discussion, to hear it in full and read more about it, please visit greatdayradio.com. Okay, on to the show. What is good, my party peeps? Welcome to Great Day Radio's Relationship Podcast. I'm DJ Mikey D, and today we're diving into something that's got me thinking, got me talking to my friends, and honestly, got me a little shook. It's about the walk-away wife phenomenon. You heard that right. More and more women, especially in midlife, are just walking away from marriages, from comfort, from the life they built. And it's not just a trend, it's a revolution. So I read this piece about a spiritual teacher named Karen Ramey. She's been doing this work for over 30 years, and she noticed something wild during the pandemic. When everything went online, her workshops, mostly full of women, started shifting. Women who used to stay in unhappy marriages were now saying, I'm done. And I'm like, what's going on here? Let's break it down. Ramey says, COVID gave us all a pause. The wheel of life stopped. And I feel that. I mean, we were all stuck at home looking at our lives, our partners, our routines, and for a lot of women, the view wasn't pretty. They saw things clearly and they said enough. But here's the thing. It's not just about individual pain. Ramey says it's about something bigger. The world is in crisis, war, division, suppression. And that emotional crisis, it sparks an awakening. Now, let's talk numbers. Because this isn't just a spiritual thing, the stats back it up. According to American Sociological Association, 69% of divorce petitions are filed by wives compared to 31% of men who file. 69%. And the same survey says midlife women would end a marriage just because they felt unhappy. Not because of abuse, not because of cheating, just pure, simple unhappiness. That's huge. And check this out. The same survey showed that almost a quarter of women cited affairs as the reason, but just as many said they fell out of love. Over half said there's no stigma anymore about getting divorced. And almost a third said they were happier than ever after the split. So the question is, why now? Why midlife? Why women? Ramey has a theory. She says it's a midlife pinch point. The kids are grown in most cases. The daily care demands are lessening. And then there's menopause. She calls it shifting into who we really are. And I think that's powerful. For years, women are caregivers, to kids, to husbands, to parents, and then suddenly there's space. And in that space, they ask, who am I? Do I want to keep lying to myself? And here's the kicker. Ramey says marriage itself is outdated. Think about it. 50 years ago, average life expectancy was 72. Now it's 82. So if you're 50, you've got another 30 years. Do you want to spend it in a marriage that's more about keeping things viable than enjoyable? That's the question women are asking. And the answer for many is no. But let's be real, this isn't just about women. Ramey says we've all been taught to live in confining ways. Men are providers, women are caretakers. It's a prison for everyone. But women are the ones walking out. Why? Because most marriages are more beneficial for men. Women are only allowed freedom once everything at home is done. And when is that ever done? I think about my own friends, I've got a buddy whose wife just left after 20 years. He was blindsided. But she told me, Mikey, I just didn't know myself anymore. I was a mom, a wife, a chauffeur, a cook, but I wasn't me. And that's the thing. This awakening is about reclaiming identity. Ramey calls it feminine energy, spirituality, community, self-expression. And once women tap into that, there's no going back. And it's not easy. Let's not pretend. Walking away from a marriage, especially after decades, is painful. There's financial insecurity, social judgment, loneliness. But the surveys show that over half of women don't care about the stigma anymore. They'd rather be alone and happy than together and miserable. That takes guts. So, what's the takeaway? For me, it's this. We need to rethink relationships. Ramey says relationships should be a place of respect, companionship, and love. Not a business arrangement, not a habit. And maybe that means more men need to step up. Because if women are waking up, men need to wake up too. Otherwise, we're going to see a lot more walk-away wives. I want to end this part of the discussion with something Ramey said that really stuck with me. She said a huge power comes with that moment when women grab that piece of themselves. They can't go back because they know their marriage is not working anymore. And I think that's beautiful. It's scary, but it's beautiful. It's about choosing yourself. And in a world that tells women to put everyone else first, that's a radical act. Okay, I'm going to take a brief pause for a PSA and sponsor break as we pivot the conversation from men's perspective and discuss the boss women paradox. What if I told you there is a business platform where you can build a successful online business, get mentorship and business training? What if I was to tell you this platform has the tools to help build unlimited traffic sources, learn to use and utilize artificial intelligence for your business? What if I was to tell you that there's a platform where you can build a personalized lead database in one place to market how you want with no limits? Start building your dreams today. Visit Mentorship Heroes, that is www.mentorshipheroes.com. Sign up, it is free, my party peeps, to get started. So what are you waiting for? Mentorshipheroes.com. Let's make today a great day. Hey everyone, welcome back. I'm DJ Mikey D, and today it's just me. I've got something a little different, a little more personal to share with you all. So grab your coffee, settle in. You ever have your entire life flip upside down in a single day? I mean, completely, totally, unrecognizably flip? That was me, not too long ago. I went through a sudden divorce, and just like that, I found myself with nowhere to go. Nowhere. The absolute worst part, the timing. It was the dead of winter, temperatures dropping below freezing, and every single dollar I had, every cent, was going to support my family. I was completely, totally unprepared for something this devastating. I was out in the cold, literally and figuratively. It's a chill that gets in your bones and just stays. You know, we talk about health on this show a lot. Mental health, physical health. Let me tell you, when your basic need for shelter isn't met, nothing else matters. Your health crumbles. The stress, the fear, the exhaustion. It takes everything. But then, some amazing people stepped in. Friends, honestly, angels in disguise. They connected me with Veteran Services, and I'll be forever grateful for that, who then connected me with the Colorado Coalition for the Homeless. Let me tell you, they were a lifesaver. In every sense of the word, they got me safe, they got me warm, they didn't just give me a bed, they gave me a path forward. They treated me with dignity when I felt I had none left. That's health, that's the foundation of health. And my story, it isn't unique, not even close. The essential first step to ending homelessness, to rebuilding someone's health, is so simple it sounds obvious: a home. A safe, stable place. The Colorado Coalition, they get this. They build more housing to end homelessness than anyone else in Colorado. They see over 14,000 people every single year for health services. 14,000, treating every single person with the respect we all deserve. Right now, they need our help. And I'm talking to you, my listeners, my community. A cash donation helps. Some non-perishable food, some warm clothing, it all helps. It's all critical. But what truly fuels their mission, what allows them to build that housing and provide that care, are grants. So here's what I'm asking. If this resonated with you, if you've ever had a tough time or known someone who has, visit coloradocoalition.org. COLORADO coalition.org. Click donate. Trust me on this. What seems like a little to you can be everything to someone who's hungry, scared, and just needs a warm, safe place to stay. It's the first, most vital step back to health, for them and for our whole community. Before we continue with more great music, I would like to give a great big shout out to the staff at the Colorado Coalition for the Homeless. Big shout out to Brandy, Bailey, Jason, Tony at the Victory House, Tricia, Caroline, and the many other hardworking and dedicated staff that make it all happen. Thanks for listening, everyone. Take care of yourselves and each other. I'm DJ Mikey D. We'll talk soon. Stay locked in for more great music. Welcome back to the conversation for part 2 of our relationship podcast. Switching the conversation up as we discuss the rise of the boss woman archetype has been a defining feature of the last 2 decades. This image of a financially self-sufficient, high-achieving woman with a hustle-first mentality has become synonymous with success. It's a movement that has shattered glass ceilings, empowered millions, and redefined what women can accomplish. Yet beneath the surface of this empowerment lies an emerging paradox. While building empires, many of these women are also building walls that can lead to isolation and the loneliness. At the heart of the boss woman phenomenon is a rebellion against dependency. Historically, women were often expected to rely on others, particularly men, for financial and emotional support, as I mentioned in the last segment. The modern boss woman flips this narrative, embracing independence as a source of strength. However, as the pendulum swings away from reliance, it sometimes lands in the territory of hyper-independence. In this psychological state, asking for help is perceived as a weakness, and vulnerability becomes a liability. This hyper-independence creates what's known as the self-sourcing trap. When a woman becomes her own provider, protector, and problem solver, she may unintentionally signal to the world that there's no vacancy for partnership or deep community support. This dynamic isn't born out of a lack of desire for connection, but rather out of the necessity to maintain a boss persona, a persona that requires a constant emotional guard. This performance of power can make it difficult to transition into the openness and softness required for intimate relationships. As one modern sociological perspective aptly states, we have taught women how to survive in a man's world, but we haven't taught them how to stay connected to themselves and others while doing it. This observation highlights a critical issue. The loneliness experienced by high-achieving women isn't about a lack of people in their lives, it's about a lack of genuine connection. There are three primary drivers of this loneliness. The first is the relatability gap. As women climb higher in their careers, their peer group often shrinks. It becomes increasingly difficult to find people who can relate to the pressures and responsibilities of high-level decision-making. This sense of being the only one can create feelings of isolation and alienation. Second, the exhaustion factor. This is the demands of being the boss can be emotionally draining. After a day spent delegating, managing, and making decisions, many women find themselves with little energy left for socializing or building deeper connections. What begins as a need for solitude to recharge can eventually morph into chronic loneliness. Lastly, the intimidation barrier. This is the confidence and competence that define the boss woman can sometimes be intimidating to others. Potential partners or even friends may feel they have little to offer someone who appears to have everything figured out. This perception can further widen the gap between high-achieving women and the connections they seek. Compounding these challenges is the tendency to equate worth with productivity. For many high-achieving women, their value is tied to their output. This mindset can seep into personal relationships, turning love into a project and friendships into networking opportunities. The result is a life that, while outwardly successful, feels emotionally unfulfilled. The key insight here is that independence, while empowering, isn't enough on its own. Humans are inherently social beings, and interdependence is a fundamental necessity. Loneliness often arises not from a lack of success, but from the fear that showing vulnerability, dropping the boss mask, will lead to rejection. So, how can these powerful women strike a balance between their professional success and personal fulfillment? It starts with a conscious effort to deboss their personal lives. Here are a few strategies. 1. Practice strategic softness. Allow others to take care of you in small ways. Let a friend choose the restaurant for dinner, or let a partner handle a chore. These small acts of receiving can help dismantle the walls of hyper-independence. 2. Foster a non-work identity. Engage in activities or hobbies where you are a beginner. This shifts the focus away from being an expert and creates space for curiosity and vulnerability. 3. Redefine strength. Move away from the mindset of, I don't need anyone, to I'm strong enough to choose who I need. This shift from defense to discernment can open the door to deeper connections. The boss woman mentality isn't inherently the cause of loneliness, it's the unfiltered application of it that can lead to isolation. When the same rigor and control used in the boardroom are applied to personal relationships, it can create barriers rather than bridges. True empowerment lies not just in the ability to lead, but in the security to love, the courage to lean on others, and the wisdom to know that no success is worth an empty home. Now, let's shift focus to another growing trend: why more men are choosing to remain single. This phenomenon is equally layered and rooted in societal shifts, personal choices, and evolving expectations in relationships. In recent years, there's been a noticeable increase in men opting to stay single longer or indefinitely. While this trend can't be attributed to one single cause, several factors have converged to create a landscape where more men are choosing solitude over partnership. Me, having been recently divorced, I can relate to this sentiment and trend. With that, one major factor is the changing dynamics in relationships. Traditional gender roles where men were expected to be the primary providers and women the caregivers have evolved. As women have become more independent and self-sufficient, the pressure on men to fulfill traditional roles has lessened. However, this shift has also left many men questioning their place in modern relationships. Without clear societal expectations, some men find it easier to remain single than to navigate the complexities of a partnership. Another contributing factor is the growing emphasis on self-improvement and personal freedom. Many men are prioritizing their careers, hobbies, and personal growth over relationships. The rise of the self-care movement, once predominantly associated with women, has also influenced men to focus on their own well-being. For some, this means avoiding the compromises and sacrifices that come with a committed relationship. Economic factors also play a role. In an era where financial stability is increasingly difficult to achieve, some men feel unprepared or unwilling to take on the financial responsibilities of a partnership or family. This is especially true for younger men who are grappling with student debt, rising living costs, and job insecurity. Additionally, the rise of digital technology and dating apps has changed the way people approach relationships. While these platforms offer more opportunities to meet potential partners, they also create a paradox of choice. With so many options available, some men find it easier to remain single rather than committing to one person. Cultural narratives around masculinity also influence this trend. In some circles, there's a growing acceptance of singlehood as a valid lifestyle choice. Men are no longer stigmatized for being single, and in some cases, it's even celebrated as a sign of independence and self-sufficiency. However, much like the boss woman paradox, the choice to remain single isn't without its challenges. Loneliness, lack of emotional support, and societal pressure to conform to traditional life milestones can weigh heavily on single men. The key is finding a balance, embracing the freedom and opportunities of singlehood while remaining open to connection and companionship. In both cases, whether it's the boss woman navigating the complexities of independence or men redefining their relationship choices, the underlying theme is the same: the need for connection. Success, freedom, and independence are all valuable, but they're most fulfilling when paired with meaningful relationships. Finding that balance is the challenge of our time. All right, that's all I've got for this discussion. If you are listening on our online radio station, you can listen and download this podcast to your device by visiting greatdayradio.com. Likewise, if you would like to listen to this program with awesome music, visit live365.com, search Great Day Radio Smooth Jazz. This is DJ Mikey D signing off. Remember, it's never too late to ask yourself, do I want more? And if the answer is yes, go get it. Peace out.